Some cars are built to make history, but these cars ended it. From Hollywood legends to global icons, these vehicles became the final chapter of lives that inspired millions. And in some cases, what really happened still doesn't make sense. Number 1. Paul Walker. He was the face of speed, a man who didn't just act in car movies, he lived them. Through Fast and Furious, Paul Walker became a symbol of adrenaline, loyalty, and passion for cars. But on November 30th, 2013, reality turned into something far darker. Paul was attending a charity event. Everything felt normal, calm, routine. Later that day, he got into a Porsche Carrera GT, not as the driver, but as a passenger. The car was powerful, unpredictable at high speeds. Within moments, the driver accelerated. Then suddenly, control was lost. The car spun out, slammed into a pole, and then into a tree. Seconds later, it was engulfed in flames. There was no dramatic escape, no second chance. Investigations later confirmed no alcohol, no mechanical failure, just speed. But for fans, that explanation felt empty. How could someone so experienced, so connected to cars, meet his end like this? The same passion that made him a legend became the reason the world lost him. And even today, that moment still doesn't feel real. Number 2. James Dean. He was only 24, but already immortal. James Dean wasn't just a rising star, he was the definition of rebellion. Fast cars, risk, attitude. That was his identity. His Porsche 550 Spider had a strange nickname, Little Bastard. Some said it was just a joke, others weren't so sure. On September 30th, 1955, Dean was heading to a race. People warned him that day, told him to slow down. Even actor Alec Guinness once said that car gave him a bad feeling. But Dean ignored it. On a quiet highway, another car turned into his path. There was no time. The crash was instant, violent, final. James Dean died at the scene. But what happened after is what made this story legendary. The wrecked car was sold for parts, and strangely, those parts were linked to multiple accidents. Engines failed, drivers crashed, people got injured. One by one, stories started connecting. Was it coincidence, or did Little Bastard carry something darker? Even today, this isn't just a crash story. It's one of the most chilling mysteries in car history. Number 3. Princess Diana. She wasn't just a princess, she was the most loved woman in the world. Diana had a connection with people that no royal had ever achieved. But on August 31st, 1997, everything changed in a single night. Diana was in Paris, leaving the Ritz Hotel. With her was Dodi Fayed. Their car, a Mercedes, was surrounded by paparazzi, flashes everywhere, cameras chasing them through the streets. The driver tried to escape, faster and faster. Then, they entered the Pont de l'Alma tunnel, and within seconds, the car crashed into a concrete pillar. The impact was devastating. Diana was still alive when rescuers arrived, but her injuries were too severe. Hours later, the world received the news. She was gone. Official reports blamed the driver and the high speed, but the questions never stopped. Why was the driver intoxicated? Why were paparazzi allowed to chase them like that? And some even asked, was this really just an accident? Decades later, people still debate the truth, and that tunnel remains a place the world will never forget. Number 4. Grace Kelly. She had the perfect life, Hollywood glamour, timeless beauty, and then a real-life fairy tale. Grace Kelly left the film industry at the peak of her career to become the Princess of Monaco. To the world, she had everything. But on September 13, 1982, that fairy tale took a tragic turn. Grace was driving along a narrow, winding road in Monaco. With her, her daughter sitting beside her. It was a quiet day, nothing unusual. But suddenly, something went wrong. Grace suffered a stroke behind the wheel. In that moment, she lost control. The Dard drifted, then plunged off the side of the road. The crash was severe. Her daughter survived, but Grace Kelly did not. The world was shocked. A woman who lived like a princess lost her life in such a sudden, silent way. No high-speed chase, no mystery, no chaos. Just one moment, and everything changed. A life full of elegance ended on a quiet road. Number 5. Jackson Pollock. He wasn't just an artist, he was a revolution. Jackson Pollock changed the way the world saw art. His paintings weren't controlled, they were chaotic, emotional, raw. But his personal life was just as chaotic. By 1956, Pollock was struggling. Fame, pressure, and alcohol had taken over. One night, he got behind the wheel. He wasn't alone. 2 passengers sat with him, trusting him to drive. But control was already slipping. The car sped down a quiet road until suddenly he lost control. The vehicle veered off and crashed violently into a tree. Pollock died instantly. 1 passenger also lost her life. It wasn't just a tragic accident. It felt like the inevitable end of a life spiraling out of control. A genius, undone by his own chaos. And the road that night became the final canvas of his story. Number 6. Lisa Lopes. She was fearless, unpredictable, and completely unforgettable. Lisa Left Eye Lopes wasn't just part of TLC, it was its soul. Her energy, her voice, her personality, unmatched. In 2002, Lisa was in Honduras. She was documenting her journey, filming a personal project. That day, she was driving an SUV on a rural road. Everything seemed normal until suddenly a truck appeared ahead. In a split-second decision, Lisa swerved to avoid it, but that move changed everything. The SUV lost balance, flipped multiple times, and crashed. It was caught on camera, raw, real, final. Lisa didn't survive. Fans around the world were devastated. She wasn't just a singer, she was a force, and in one sudden moment, that force was gone. Her story didn't fade, but it ended far too soon. Number 7. Cliff Burton. He wasn't just a band member, he was the soul of Metallica. Cliff Burton brought depth, emotion, and power to their music. In 1986, the band was touring throughout Europe, night after night, city after city. Then came Sweden. The weather was cold, the roads were icy. Their tour bus moved through the darkness when suddenly it lost control. The bus skidded, then violently flipped. Chaos, confusion, silence. Cliff Burton was thrown from the vehicle, and then the unimaginable happened. The bus landed on him. There was no saving him. The band was shattered. Fans around the world couldn't believe it. A rising legend, gone in an instant. And that cold, dark road became part of rock history forever. Number 8. Ayrton Senna. He wasn't just a driver, he was a legend. Ayrton Senna dominated Formula One with precision, fearlessness, and unmatched skill. To fans, he was untouchable. But on May 1st, 1994, everything changed in a single day. It was the San Marino Grand Prix. Lap after lap, Senna pushed his car to the limit. Then, suddenly, at high speed, he lost control. His car shot off the track and slammed into a concrete wall. The impact was devastating. The race stopped. The world held its breath. Hours later, the news came. Senna was gone. It wasn't just a loss, it was a turning point. That crash forced Formula One to change, to become safer. But the price was one of its greatest legends, and that moment still echoes through racing history. Number 9. Jane Mansfield. She was Hollywood glamour, bold, confident, unforgettable. Jane Mansfield lit up the screen with her presence and charm, but in 1967, on a dark highway, her story came to a tragic end. It was late at night.
Her car was moving fast when suddenly it slammed into the back of a truck. The impact